Speaking of disasters.
Yes, because that intro was nothing but an absolute shit disaster. Go for it.
Oh, man. That's this week's topic.
Yeah, because last time we ended with, we were talking a little bit about your girlfriend's apartment building catching fire. So I guess we'll start with that and then kind of go, like, what kind of natural disasters or other that you've been in and kind of witnessed. But, yeah, go ahead. Let's hear about this fire that we just went through here.
Yeah. So I got a bunch of phone calls in the middle of the night. And
yes,
by this point, I was trying to fall asleep, and I had turned my phone on silent.
You were already asleep.
Oh, woe is me.
Woe is you.
Woe is me. Anyhow, Candace gave me, 14, 20, 30 calls. Phone's on silent. I didn't hear a single one of them. And my roommate, Buddy, good day here,
doodly.
had to knock on my door to wake my sorry ass up.
Only took me 3 phone calls. So, yeah, I was glad that I heard it and everything was starting to buzz and stuff. And I was like, oh, something must be up if I'm getting a call.
And Candace gets on the phone and she's in tears, obviously. It's pretty stressful. She was quickly rushed out of her building by the words, fire, fire, screaming from the hallway. And she runs outside. Someone screams, do you have a fire extinguisher? Which, safety note, fire extinguishers are meant for getting yourself out of a building safely, not for putting a fire out. So just remember that. But in this instance,
taught me that in its training videos. Thanks, AB, and your magical trainings.
In this instance, the fire was limited to a swamp cooler. And, why not try to put it out while the paramedics are on their way? Everyone could stand at a safe distance from the fire escape, nonetheless. So they're already on their way out. This fire got everyone out of the building in the middle of the night. They're all standing outside, not really knowing what's going on. And when Candace went to grab her fire extinguisher, had left her door open, and 2 of her cats are in the apartment. And so she called me, being outside for 3 hours. And yeah, so she had no idea what was going on, but the power got turned off, and she was eventually let back in her building. And thank God both of the cats were just hiding under the bed and scared because the alarms were going off. But no damage, thankfully. But to her apartment anyway, there's 3 apartments that were totally ruined, as is fires go. But she's back at home. She's back safe and sound. Cats are happy. They stayed over for a little while, and boy, did they have a fun time keeping us up all night.
I was about to say, some of the meowing I heard, just the calls of let me out of this room during the day when I was home was it was fantastic. I never heard them at night, though. I was kind of shocked. Like, they were relatively quiet. I slept through everything, and I wake up early for work, obviously, and didn't have any kind of problem. But apparently, you guys did not survive so easily.
Well, I made I have a headboard that I made myself, and I put a shelf up on the top of the headboard.
Thumbnail coming.
And the darn cats thought oh, well I put my headboard up against a window because I don't like the morning light waking me up. So there's a window behind my headboard, and these cats want to get back there and look out the window, as they'd love to do. And, all through the night, they're like, man, it's a lot easier to jump to that shelf if I stand right on top of you when I do it. And jumping down too, they'll just jump right off. And
softer landing instead of a pillow
that's a little closer.
Bed, that's
much. I'm like, I got a memory foam mattress that's you could just flop down on and not hurt. And nope, that's a closer surface.
We'll go there. Holy cow!
Let me jump straight onto your abdomen.
Yeah, no joke. And you guys...
I hope you're flexing while you snore.
Oh, my gosh. Pass. Hard pass.
Yeah, so future note, if you're building your own bed and have cats, do not put a shelf on your headboard.
But, yeah.
How many fires have you been in, Matt?
Oh, dude, I've been in not any that are really jumping off the page. I'm sure that I maybe have been in one, but I've been in earthquakes before. I was born in California and don't recall...
You don't remember?
Good exhale. Don't recall any of the earthquakes. My parents and I left when I was 4. My sister was 2 in, 93, I believe. So I was very tiny and don't have a whole lot of recollection, but I was apparently in an earthquake. My mom tells the story pretty well. She was in the house, my dad and I were outside playing, and all of a sudden she felt the house kind of shaking and everything was moving, so she felt it. We ran outside. My dad and I were just playing around in the yard, didn't feel a thing. So I'm not really going to be the perfect example of remembering anything like that, but there's another one. I lived through a tornado. We went camping.
Whoa. I've never been in a tornado.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of the name of where we were camping. I have a whole nother ridiculous story about the place, and the cousins on my mom's side of the family love the story. But we went camping, and we were just in an RV or a tent usually between everybody, and then all of a sudden, like, we got word. It was a Boy Scout camp, and we got word that, hey, there's a tornado close by, so we had to go into like this concrete Boy Scout building.
So you're like Boy Scout camping. Were you car camping? Were you backpacking?
Oh no, this was like cars were right next to us. Like, it was close. It was a regular. It wasn't like a parking lot, but it was close by. But then
so there was like a structure.
Yeah, imagine like I'm trying to think of it. Is it REI? No, it's not REI. That's that dealer. KOA, a KOA campground. They have buildings, but usually they're like
a shower and a toilet.
Exactly, that kind of stuff. But this one was a little bit bigger because it was like a gathering space. It's me remembering it, and I was tiny again in this one, so I don't remember everything. But it was a little bit bigger just because it was more like convention size. If they had like a bunch of scout groups come to this place, they could all go inside for this if something happened. Something like that. So it was a little bit bigger. And yeah, we went through a tornado. Like, it passed within a half a mile of everything. Wow. All of our campers were okay. Thank goodness.
How many?
I think there was only one tornado.
Well, how many kids? How many campers did you have shoved into the...
Oh, gosh. Well, the campers weren't in there. The campers were left, and then we just left the campers and went inside. So I think there were 4 or 5 vehicles between... Again, this is another family experience, which was fantastic. But it was, I want to say like 3 to 4 vehicles that we knew, like, in our group, and that's all me and my uncles, aunts, cousins, that kind of stuff went. And it was just crazy because it sounded like there was a freight train going around outside, but we were in the middle of the woods, and it was just like, this is absolutely bonkers. And I'm sure that it'll come to me eventually where we were, but I want to say it was Lake of the Ozarks, but I know that's wrong just because we were talking about Ozark the show. But it might have been. I'm gonna have to think about that one. But yeah, those are really the only ones that I've lived through, and again, don't really have a great recollection of either one of them.
Wow.
I mean, been through some nasty hailstorms, but I'm not really gonna count those.
Oh man, do you remember the time? So, last time on here, I think I was talking a little about how I lived in Hawaii for a while. So I've never been in any tornadoes. Or at least I don't remember any that I've been in.
Sure.
But there are a number of hurricanes I've been in, and there are 2. 2 in total.
That is a number. 2 is a number.
Yeah, exactly. And I was living in South Kona, which you called me during the height of one of those hurricanes, and it was a bad one for Hilo, which is the opposite side of the Big Island where I was staying. And
I only called you like 3 times the entire time you were out in Hawaii. And one of them happens to be in a hurricane.
Yeah, one of them happens to be in the middle of a hurricane.
And
I think part of that was because of the news of the hurricane. I got a lot of calls, whenever Big Island made the news, and it made the news 3 times in the 9 months that I lived there. Anyway, the hurricane. So the hurricane ravaged Hilo. It ravaged the, I guess it's the eastern border of the island,
and this is of the main island, correct?
This is Big Island.
Okay.
Yeah. And
thank you.
Big Island, the Hawaii County of Hawaii, is brand spanking new. It's some of the youngest earth on the planet,
because that's where the active volcano is on the Big Island, correct?
Although there is a new one spouting up underwater. It hasn't reached the surface, but it's coming up. There's a new island in the making.
But on the Big Island, it is still active, or no?
Semi.
Okay.
It is and isn't. It comes and goes. It's difficult to predict, and it is something worth seeing in your lifetime.
Excellent.
Anyway, hurricane.
Yes, hurricane,
all
please.
This brand new Earth, all these volcanoes, active volcanoes, like, it's a straight shot from the peak all the way down to the surface, like the bottom layer of the ocean.
Okay.
All the way down, it's just this cliff. Like it just keeps going. So like there's this giant spike sticking out of the ocean, and this hurricane, which a hurricane hasn't hit Hawaii in like decades up to this point, and this hurricane got broke up by the island, and like the front side took a huge brunt, but we were on the back side, and everything was shut down. Windows were taped up. People had taped the slippas down to their porches, their lanais, and everyone's like huddled up, ready for the worst because a hurricane hasn't hit the island in decades.
Wow.
And on our side, nothing really happened. It was like we went to a party, like it was in dense jungle.
You had a hurricane party?
Yeah, so we went uphill because we were in a flood zone, so we thought it would be
that's a safe place to go. Yeah,
like,
gain elevation.
I have a friend at the top of Telephone Exchange Hill, and there's like it's a sharp incline going all the way up that road, so anywhere going up that way was safer than where we were.
Sure.
Which was Ho Now Now. Which, if you translate that from Hawaiian, means pillars of rain because it rains there every day and a lot. And it floods out often. So we were, trying to seek out safety, and like we didn't even need to bother. It was beautiful.
Nice.
It cut like a small patch in the storm where there was just this sunny sky, and we could see lightning and like. It was incredible. It was incredible to just see the ocean be in like this utter torment, and we're in this small pocket of paradise, and like everyone's worried about me, and I feel like I'm bragging now, but it was really cool to like live through a hurricane and like see everything that was beautiful about it without any consequences.
Yeah, you're allowed to brag, by the way. Like this is Wilko Wednesday. Yeah. Like please brag. I mean, we've asked for sponsorships. We've promoted ourselves. Like, I don't know what else we can do. Still waiting on that callback from, the taco place. Oh, my gosh. Sirius, Texas, hopefully.
Oh, my.
Knock on wood.
Knock on some good wood.
Yeah. Oh, this is good wood, too. The table you all saw last week, that's the wood I'm knocking on. Good wood.
Man.
See. I was about to say, yeah, but you've had a lot more recent ones, because I wouldn't be surprised that I called you in the middle of a hurricane in Hawaii, but I also remember you were there when the volcano was active and the lava flow was going on. And I do remember calling you when the lava flow was going on, and it was something similar but not quite the same. So what was that like?
Well, I do want to save that for another time. We're still on disasters. Tell me about the worst job you ever had.
Oh my gosh, you want to know. Oh man. So I had a landscaping job. It was my shortest term job. And it really just wasn't for me. We were doing, the majority of the job was us resurfacing the outside of like a new overpass on C470. So where they're re-leveling everything, they've got the earth movers in, except I wasn't driving an earth mover. I was one of the guys on the ground after the project's kind of done. So they're making sure that there's no erosion. And they take those giant straw bales and like unroll them down the hill. So we were doing that, and we had to stake them in. And it just was not for me. Like I was not part of, this is an active highway. I'm not really about it. I'll bite my tongue and just be okay. So the last day, we're not on that project. We go to another project, a new home development in, oh my gosh, it was just west of Denver. I'm blanking on the name of the county now. But they just put in this brand new park, and it's July. I can't remember what year it is, but middle of July, so it's hot. And they put in this brand new park for kids to play and for people to walk their dogs and yada, yada, yada. Well, the problem is they didn't water the brand new sod that they put down for the first 2 weeks it was there.
Really?
Yeah. That was a great rip, by the way. But so they didn't water the sod for the first 2 weeks it was down. And
tell me as a novice what that means for your sod.
Okay, so when you're putting sod down, like sod is the top part of the root system and then all the blade of grass. So like you only see obviously what's above, which is great, and it's green usually, and it's fantastic.
It looks good immediately.
But as soon as you put it down, you need to water it. Like you need that ground to be like a sponge. You need that sod,
and
literally,
we're talking
to
Colorado,
be a sponge.
where
Yeah.
like you got clay and dry dirt to work with.
And I don't know if they prep the soil. I don't want to like guess on that, and that's besides the point. But so they didn't water it for the first 2 weeks, and it's at least 90 degrees out.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it just
if you're
burned
saying
up.
they didn't water it for 2 weeks, they didn't prep the soil. I'd bet
Oh, and they just laid it down. They're like,
now.
cool, we have grass now. Hooray.
Yeah, they're not
we'll
going to
open
water
the park
it?
in 2 weeks. Hooray. No, not hooray at all. So it burned up, and it was completely brown and crunchy. And so they somehow got the company that I was working for to come in, and they were going to have their grand opening. They didn't want to do it with brown sod in the middle of the summer in this heat wave. Oh, excuse me. So they decide that they can make it look better and not have to replace the sod. So we go, and it's me and one other coworker. We go in with 5-gallon plastic backpack sprayers full of water and green sod paint. I kid you not, this exists. You can go find it if you want. But we sat there for 7 hours looking at the ground, spraying dead sod green. So it turned green, and it probably looked great. The biggest issue was, though, it was about 105 out that day. I applied sunscreen as much as I possibly could, but the biggest issue was that it still wasn't enough. So I got a second-degree sunburn on my back of my neck and my ears. Like, they bubbled. It was bad. That was my last day at the job because I was like, I'm done. I can't. Like, this is it. And I had already put in my 2 weeks. This was like a week into it. And I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is not acceptable. Like, I burned so bad. I was in, like, bed. Like, I couldn't lay down because the back of my head was just... It was burnt. It was like you took it out from the broiler after 5 minutes in the broiler. It was just burnt crispy.
Little
like,
boils
it was,
you could pop.
Oh, it was so bad, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to creep all of you guys out and maybe make you lose your appetite
you
for
know
beer.
what?
But holy cow, it was so bad. But the thing is, too, and
I know
this
too
really...
many people into those zit popping videos.
Oh,
but...
gosh, no, not me. 100% no.
Yeah,
Because every time
out.
I see one, I'm like,
You're
that's
not.
one of the bubbles on the back of my ears.
Ugh.
Nah, not doing that. But the worst part of that job isn't the fact that I was there, or I got the sunburn or anything like that. It's the fact that this new housing development decided, oh, we're supposed to water our sod. We didn't know that. They soaked it. Like, literally, it was walking through a marsh the next day. So there were our footprints when we were painting the sod. We were leaving footprints in it. Because they finally, after 2 weeks and the sod was dead, decided to water it. So good for you. I'm very happy for whatever development you are. Know that your sod was painted green and it was trash. It probably came back just fine the next year because grass does that. But holy cow, dude, I could not do it.
Thank God
so
they killed
bad.
something that, like, we used to do this. I remember working in landscaping too, and we had a process that we called stolons, where we took the mulch from another lawn, like the clippings from another lawn, and like mixed it in with paper mache, basically, and fertilizer, and put it in a hose, and then, like, sprayed it on a lawn. 2 weeks later, you got a lawn.
Yeah.
Mine plants are cool.
Oh, heck yeah, dude. And that's a good way to do it. And, you know, I mean, somehow, and this still blows my mind, like, speaking on plants and turf health, like, the health of your parents' backyard was a questionable thing. Well, hang on. It was just mind-boggling to me, and I didn't really get, like, how it was done. And then you were like, oh, yeah, it's pretty simple. We have one trick, which is, of course...
The backyard. Well, we got a great deck. The trick is the deck.
I don't think the deck gets any kind of sunlight reflection or water usage. But go ahead. All right.
Here's why the deck makes our lawn great, because our deck is so cool. It's a great place to hang out. Mm-hmm. Like, it's got a sun net, a dartboard, a fire pit, plants, tons of plants.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. And it's outside, which means one thing for me and my family, and it's that we can smoke cigarettes while hanging out.
Darn straight.
And we just flick them into the yard because our lawnmower picks them up, and all this ash gets spread everywhere. And we got the greenest back. Our front yard is trash, but our backyard, like, the lawn is just, we once put a pool back there, one of those, like, above ground pools, and dug out a whole 6 inches deep all the way around for this, like, 8 foot in diameter pool. Big old circle. Yep. Can't tell. That lawn is healthy as hell. Although we did put up a trampoline recently, which killed a lot of the grass, but it's come back. What was cool is we weren't watching it, And there was a grapevine all the way in the back that had snuck under some ivy, like all the way under this ivy, down this brick retaining wall, and like under the trampoline, and was like under the pine tree going towards the deck on the other side of the lawn. And it made it all the way across on the other side of the lawn in the shade. And underneath the trampoline, because the trampoline has like netting that lets just enough sun through, it like, it was massive. All of the leaves under there were massive.
Oh yeah.
But, it's only one, so male or female, I have no idea, but it'll never make a flower or a grape.
Holy cow.
Because there's nothing nearby for it to... So it just grows. It focuses all of its energy on growing, It has no reason to pursue sex, which is, it's interesting.
That's awesome.
Plants have a crazy mental fortitude that you're like, well, I can't do this, so my life will be about growing big.
They sure do. Growing big, holy cow. Well, we're going to take a little break here. We will come back for a little bit later, but now's a good time to take a little break, get some refills if you need to, and we'll see you on the other side. Hey everybody, welcome back to Wilko Wednesday. We were talking a little bit about disasters.
Yeah, and speaking about disasters, there was this one 4th of July. I remember being on a reservoir, Cherry Creek Reservoir, with you and your sister.
Talking about this last week. Also, it seems like a great opportunity to introduce our first live guest, live via cell phone on the T-Mobile network. Please welcome K-Day, my sister.
Hi, hello, everyone.
Welcome. So,
you don't have a beer, so I'll open one for you.
The strange thing about this whole story is that I remember it better than you two, apparently. So you remember going out on Cherry Creek Reservoir doing some water sports, some kneeboarding, 4th of July.
4th of July, we always had a good time.
Oh, yeah.
It always gets a little crazy. A little drinking.
Excuse me. Yes.
Yeah, I happened to be a happy guest that day. It's like a day family tradition, I take it, right?
What? Repeat that?
It's a day family tradition, both of you, right?
Sorry, we should also introduce Kay as shopping at Walmart for this first live interview. So we are very quality assured here at Wilko Wednesdays.
My bad.
No, it's all good. You're the first guest. Welcome to the show.
I gotta look at the wall creatures,
Oh, yeah.
So the two you remember going kneeboarding.
We've gone kneeboarding so many times, we're not going to remember like one particular one.
Well.
Yeah, a lot of kneeboarding.
Especially so here's the thing, if I knew Matt H. Tahadi, I was old enough to have a beer, which means I probably had 10 on this 4th of July because it's 4th of July thing.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so please keep going with this story you remember and we don't. Clearly.
Matt H. Shahadi and I met you at Cherry Creek Reservoir, which is probably our mistake because we met you after you had been there for a while.
Okay, so I'm remembering parts of this now, yes.
Yeah, we couldn't even get to the beachfront. Like, it was so packed. You had to drive up and come get us. And
yeah, you probably parked at Cherry Creek High School because that's just what we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
By your instruction. Anyhow.
Kay, speak up.
Anyhow.
How does it go from there? What kind of scene did we walk into at the beachfront? What's going on at the Matt Day camp or the Day family camp?
Well, the typical camp has got, your Broncos tent up on the shoreline with a bunch of people that are already drunk on the beach.
True.
You've got some other boats, random people you're talking to next to you because, of course, everybody makes friends with everybody, especially when you're with Tom Day.
I mean, they could know Tom Schween.
Would you refer to that as the dock life?
Everybody knows Tom Schween. And, we're all just chilling and having a good time, drinking, hanging out, making memories.
Hell yeah. Well, see, this for me was special because it was the first and only 4th of July I've been to with y'all. And Matt H. Shahadi, our fraternity brother, came along, and we were out kneeboarding doing the water sports, and one of your friends, was with us, who was coming out of the water back onto the boat after a session of getting a face full of water.
Kneeboarding, we'll call it. Yeah, sure.
And on the way back in, she was handing the board back to Matt. Not you.
H-Jahadi.
The other Matt.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Matts we know. And as he pulled it up, it kind of found a fulcrum on the edge of the boat and came up and whacked your friend. I remember what the J name. That's about,
but you don't remember which friend.
Jenna, Jessica, Jackie, Jennifer.
So, Kay, your trivia question for today is, what was your friend's name who got smacked in the face by a kneeboard?
It chipped her front tooth. Chipped her front tooth. Straight out.
You're going to send this out to all your friends. They're going to be real sad that you don't remember your friend who got a chipped tooth on the 4th of July on the day boat.
For me, it was one of those moments.
I would have remembered this happening, and I don't recall.
It was burned into my memory watching the front part of her tooth
great memory.
Fly out of her mouth and hit the water.
That's
like I
kind of messed up. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I was like, oh my god, that just happened, you know?
I'm just saying, it's kind of ridiculous.
And she was the champ about it. She got back on the boat and like she didn't even notice that she had lost her tooth.
Huh.
I don't remember who brought it up. Somebody brought it up.
Do you remember what she looked like?
Long brown or black hair.
Oh my god, that narrows it down. Thank you.
Yeah. That's it? I don't know.
That was a lot of sarcasm. I understand my sister pretty well. That was sarcasm, big time, 100%.
Which side did we come in? Oh. I'm lost in Walmart at the current moment.
Oh.
What are you maybe looking for?
Purchasing some good stuff. Can't talk about it. It's a secret.
Oh, that's understandable. So, what was the name of your friend who lost part of their tooth that begins with maybe a J, who has long brown or dark black hair?
The only J name I've got is probably Joanna, but she's got blonde hair, so I mean it fits the description perfectly.
I'm laughing, Kay, because I don't know either. Like, before we started this, I had to give you a call because I'm like, I don't remember this at all. And I'm like, J names. I'm only thinking Joanna. That's the only person I can think of. I've
only ever been kneeboarding one time.
Then that's fine. Then that's the kneeboarding it was. H-Jahadi was there. I remember you and H-Jahadi both showing up on the 4th of July, but that's about it, friend.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. Again, I chalk it up all to the delicious and oh-so nutritious Bud Light. If you want to sponsor us, Bud Light, you know how to reach us. But, yeah, I mean, I have no clue, dude.
I don't think it happened.
I like it. I don't think it happened.
All right.
Hey, fantastic.
I guess that's fair. And, you know, the J thing could just, like, that could be totally off.
It could be.
Yeah, right. So you're narrowing it down even more for me.
Well, yeah, I think he's actually broadening it back up again.
I'm opening the possibilities up to
anybody.
She had bangs.
Was a girl with either blonde hair, brown hair.
No. Did not have blonde hair. She had bangs, and it was like dark brown.
Dark brown. Oh, okay. Bangs?
Yeah, had bangs. At the time, this was years ago.
What year
this was like 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe 6.
Oh my gosh.
Excuse me. It was sometime since I became 21. How's that? So the last 10 years, somewhere in there.
This is like a Guess Who game.
Yeah, it is.
Except nobody fits this personality match.
I don't know what's going on, man.
You're probably right, but we don't remember it. Like you said earlier, like you don't think Kay was on the boat.
I bet if we called Matt Shahadi, he would remember the story.
Oh, guys, look at the time. I've got to go check out at Walmart.
Hey, Kay, thanks for joining us on this Wilko Wednesday call. We really appreciate you being here and being such a great supporter of our work. If you want to donate on Patreon, apparently we're going to have an account for that.
Sure.
So you can look us up and give us your credit card number, and we'll take unknown amounts of money from you each month, which is great.
I'll get right on that, yeah.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. Well, enjoy your Walmart experience. Say hi to Travis for us. Not really. He's a turd. And, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for joining us. Stay safe, stay legal.
All right, bye. Thanks, Kay. Thanks, Kay. Love you. Okay, so your story holds up real well there, Wilko.
Oh. I'm disappointed by that call.
Round of applause for Kay Day, though.
Yeah,
first guest.
Please, thank you.
It's probably going to be terrible quality, but hey, that's okay.
Yeah, she was at Walmart. We'll give her the benefit of the doubt.
No, that was a total. Oh, by the way,
didn't verify my story. Oh, that's a shame. See now,
but if it actually happened,
I think it actually happened.
Here's the thing: if Kay hears this and shares it with her friends and finds the person and doesn't remember that, but you do, all of a sudden Kay's not a loser, but like she's a terrible friend.
Oh,
maybe? I don't know.
Is this a little sibling rivalry I'm hearing?
Kay might want to share this with all of her friends, or I'm going to share it with my Irish sister, who is one of Kay's friends. Hi, Maria. I'm sure maybe.
Well, we're definitely going to have to share this episode with a Mr. H. Jihadi.
Oh, dude, he'll know.
Because he'll know. He definitely remembers.
If you traumatize,
he was there.
Oh yeah, and I don't.
He was
maybe
also
my dad
drinking
will remember.
a lot.
My
he
dad
was drinking. Yeah.
My dad was driving the boat. He might not have been that.
He was driving the boat.
Oh man,
he was driving.
We might have to give him a call. That's for another time, though. We already have to talk to him about water. We're not turning this into a 2-guest episode. This is our first guest. Like, Kay, thank you. You're awesome.
What a disaster.
Yeah. We want to talk about living through disasters. Kay was at Walmart. By the way, if you expect to be a guest on Wilko Wednesdays, we're going to call you at work while you're in the drive-thru at McDonald's. We're going to call you at the worst times. So we're not going to tell you in advance, nothing like that. We'll probably have Kay on again at her leisure.
If you hear from us and you're on the toilet, go ahead and answer. We're game. We are in.
Please pick up. The more fart sounds, the better. Like, it's going to be great. But,
It's all natural here on Wilko Wednesdays.
Everything's natural here on Wilko Wednesdays. Heck, dude, there's a book called Everybody Poops.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Everybody does poop.
I was calling my mom earlier today.
Yeah.
And there's this squirrel that gets real close to our patios. In fact, I've had to shoo off and have gotten within inches of it. And today, it came across the roof, and a hawk, I shit you not, picked it off the roof. See, now it sounds like I spin tails.
No, I'm all for it. It sounds great.
Your sister's friend, 4th of July's ago.
Got her tooth chipped by a kneeboard. And this hawk picked up a squirrel from my roof. Blah, blah, blah.
Was plucked from its life.
I was just going to ask you what it had to do with the book Everybody Poops, but apparently here we are. Another tangent. Surprise, surprise.
Everybody poops.
Everybody does poop. It's a natural way of life.
Except owls. Owls don't poop.
Owls shit, dude. That's a freaking rock. They
vomit pellets out of their mouth.
Gross.
It comes in and out the same hole.
Sure, bud.
Much like a starfish.
But that's a conversation for next Wednesday.
Welcome to Biology Hour with...
Dear good Lord, why? No, just no. Come on, dude.
All right, what's the most disastrous encounter with an animal you've had?
I was shit on by a goose once.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
This was no ordinary shit on by a goose, though. It's not like it walked up, pooped on my shoe, and walked away.
Weeks before it dropped this sucker on you.
It might have been. I don't know.
Gem.
So I was playing in a golf tournament. I know we consistently go back to golf. We'll have to throw a golf episode in here eventually, but that's another time. But I was playing in a golf tournament, one that I play in every year that I've been able to, the annual BDT, the Bill Day Golf Tournament. Bill Day Tournament is what we call it for short, the BDT. I've played with a bunch of people for a long time. Currently am a proud member of Team Dank. Day, Andrews, Nave, and Kincaid. Our initials spell Dank. We have visors and everything to match, and we look darn good. But anyways, so the very oldest member on that team, other than myself, of course, is Patrick Andrews. Knew him in high school. Fraternity brother. You might remember him from episode 1, Frat Bastard. But anyways, he was in the cart. And this is, remember, we're going back to animals, disasters with animals. I was shit on by a goose. This is tying all back around.
Oh, I remember.
Let it happen, baby. Just breathe it in. So we're sitting in the cart, and I just finished talking with my uncle and my cousin, and I drive away, and all of a sudden something hits me between the shoulders. I'm in the cart. I'm like, what the heck did he just throw at me? And I stand up, I reach back, it's something warm, and I'm like, great, he threw like a booger rag or something at me. I take it off, and it's just like a nasty-looking greenish, blackish colored smear on my hand. And I'm like, what? And Pat just starts laughing because a goose took a shit while flying. It's somehow, so if you know how a golf cart is, there's a roof, and then obviously like the top of your clubs, there's a very small window. But this goose, while in flight, took a shit, and the cart was moving. The cart was moving, took a shit, That shit comes down through the air,
extra velocity
under the roof, but above the top of the clubs, hits me square in the shoulder blades while the cart is moving. So that's my most traumatic animal story.
You weren't even in the splash zone.
No, I wouldn't even call this anything close to the splash zone.
Ground zero.
I was like ground 2.5, like maybe 3.5 feet off the ground. But still, it was freaking nasty, like explosive. Like the thing. Geese are terrible, terrible animals, and I hate them all.
Was it Canadian?
But of course it was Canadian.
Well, at least it was sorry.
No, it wasn't sorry, it was sorry. Jeez, Canadian geese. Your worst animal encounter other than maybe seeing camels hump?
Yeah, before we get to that, here's to Dank.
Here's to Dank.
Oh, my worst animal story. Let's see.
Mr. Andrews, Mr. Nave, and Mr. Kincaid, I love you guys. Hope to have you on as guests eventually too, maybe all at once, because it'd be a riot.
Beyond the camels.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you had a traumatic animal story last week.
Oh, beyond the camels. You know, there was this one time when I was a kid, walking home from school, walked the path hundreds of times by this point. Was walking backwards, just talking to my friend right along the fence. It's easy to keep straight walking backwards. It's all flat. And turned the corner at the end of the fence to go back to the street and on home. And as soon as we turned the corner, I hear a crunch under my foot. And I look back, and a snake has wrapped its body around my ankle. Yeah.
Okay.
And I pick up my foot to freak out, and it was a rattlesnake.
Oh my.
Yeah. It was a baby rattlesnake that I had just stepped on, which, I don't know if you know this, they're more dangerous than the adult.
Well, they can't control the amount of venom that comes out of their fangs when they bite.
They don't know how precious it is to them or how difficult it is to produce. Don't have control over it yet. They just dump everything. I stepped on its head.
Oh!
How damn lucky.
I would say pretty darn
I brought
lucky,
it home. Mom, look.
Check it out.
I was in like the 5th grade. And I was like, can you believe it? And like, I didn't know how dangerous or what, like at that time in my life, what kind of experience I could have had.
Yeah.
But man, it was like,
oh my gosh.
Like after back when the internet wasn't so accessible and had to go to the library to pick up the encyclopedia.
Sure. It's like, oh, that's a rattlesnake.
Oh,
it could have killed me. Oh,
it's more dangerous than an adult one.
Oh my gosh. That is, wow, that's dodging. That is a dodged bullet. I got shit on by a goose. You stepped on a rattlesnake's head. Those are our animal tragic stories. I'd say you got off lucky. But that's just because I got shit on by a goose.
Oh, man. I don't know. Honestly, you had it worse.
Yeah, I know.
The results were worse.
I completely agree. You came home with a rattlesnake that was dead, and you're like, look, I got it. And I went home with a freaking shit-stained, literally a shit-stained shirt. Absolutely disturbing. Oh, God bless Gozo. Oh, that stupid goose. Yeah, Pat named the goose Gozo. You can ask Pat why in a later episode, I'm sure, if he decides to join us. But yeah.
Frat bastard.
Fratty bastard. Chief. But yeah, that's, oh my gosh, the disasters that we've, obviously that's a much later note of the disasters we've talked about today, which I feel is a very good thing.
Oh, man.
But, man, I'm going to have to grab another cold beer. I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk after this next one, so I think we'll say goodbye for the week. That's all we've got for you, really. So, send us, dude.
You guys remember, stay safe, stay legal, and we'll welcome you back next week to Wilko Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.